In today's video, I want to take you through my Instagram accounts, the story of when I first started posting to what got me to here. There were some quite significant events that got me to here, and it certainly wasn't an easy journey. And I want to make this video because the first one was actually just after I quit my job in 2015, my accounting job, and I went on this holiday here to Mallorca. And the reason it's so significant is because I found making these big decisions, something comes out the other side, something different, something unexpected. And without a lot of these events, I wouldn't be here making this video, working on this business, doing what I'm doing today. So the first part of the story really is the fact that I moved to London roughly 3 years before I got myself an Instagram. I didn't understand much about social media, had a bit of Facebook, didn't really use it much. Really had no idea what was going on in that space at the time in terms of YouTube, Instagram and influencers. Didn't really understand what that kind of stuff was back then. And as I kind of scroll through here, there's a few pictures of London, out and about, family, just pictures that aren't really that significant. Here's one down in Brighton from June 2016. Some more stuff here. This is me really trying to post on social media, trying to do something with it. I really wasn't sure what it was about or what I was about. So I've got my trainers here. These fantastic CrossFit shoes. Trying to post about stuff, just general stuff here. I remember watching the Olympics 2016, watched a lot of that. And then here the photos jump around a bit. There's one in October 2016. There's one in November 2016. And then there's a sudden jump to January 2017, and then March 2017. Now what happened just after this event here in October 2016 was I went to see this psychotherapist, and I had this, I think it was a psychological rebirth. It was an extremely traumatic event where the therapist punctured my reality back to my inner child, and I had this eruption of trauma, which was like something out of a horror movie. As you can see, there's nothing on Instagram that represents anything like that. Anything to do with struggling with trauma, difficulty. I had a really, really horrendous time at this time in my life, and I realised I'd adopted this false, almost fake identity, and I'd been living as somebody else, the way I'd been interacting with other people, my emotion, my energy, the way I've been behaving wasn't correlated to who I am. I'm somebody that I love achievement, I love problem solving, I love overcoming things, and the way I'd been up to this point in time at 31 years old, I hadn't been myself, and it was a truly horrendous event. It was awful, but it made me who I am today, the way I am today, the way I'm in touch with my own emotions, my own energy, the way I'm able to build relationships like I can. Things are just working for me now. And then coming into 2017, I was then learning a lot about myself. I also found myself in these great relationships. There's lots of coupley stuff, photos here, lots of days out, adventures, places. This is in Wales, scrolling through, holiday, trip to Egypt. This is when I realised I was in a great relationship, something pretty special. More events out in London, more things going on. Somewhere there should be a trip to Paris. This was after the attacks on London Bridge, out on some mini adventures. So this is where I'm starting to do the things that I love to do. I'm starting to take little trips, go on more adventures, not out partying or not out buying clothes, because it's not who I am for however long I did it. That's quite hard to say, but that's the stuff that happens. Yeah, so more kind of great memories, great trips. And here, I want to stop on Paris in 25th of June 2017. I want to stop on Paris because this was when I was there and I met some exchange students, some people who were there for America on like a working holiday, and I really couldn't comprehend as to, why didn't I do that? That's the kind of thing I would have loved to have done when I was 19 years old. Why didn't I do that? And I was really starting to learn about myself for the first time. Doing that kind of thing for me at 19 was this almost impossibility. It was this, why would you do that? It's ridiculous. I just had no I had no identity, no understanding of who I was. I mean, it was an amazing trip, but it was very difficult at the same time because it was, this is 2017. I'm going to turn 32 this year, and I'm just like, where did that time go? What happened? What happened to me? It was difficult. It's very, very difficult, but ultimately, it's all needed to happen. It's all allowed me to become the way I am now. And here's some stuff out in London. I'm out taking photos and some photography. I really got into photography at this point because after I saw the psychotherapist for the first time, I picked up a little action camera and I looked through the wide angle lens, and it was like I was seeing it for the first time. It was like I was seeing something I'd never experienced before. My own emotional bond with it that at some point along the line had been taken from me. So here I'm kind of figuring myself out, going through my photography, doing all these little trips and stuff, which was great. I mean, it was a really good time in my life. This was a trip to New York, I think. Yeah, always wanted to go to New York. Again, what am I, about to turn 32 here. Why hadn't I done this before? Why didn't I go when I was 20 years old? Why hadn't I understood? Those are the kind of things that I like. So the time from early 2017 until really end of 2019 is very much like this. It's very much trying to understand who I am, trying to understand what's going on in my life, trying to understand where things went so wrong for me. And then what happened is, after a fantastic year in 2017, I made this little video here, which is just a highlight of the year. And I was really trying to reconcile with who I was. Like, I've gone down this bad path. I've wasted a lot of time here. How do I find out who I am? How do I get back on track? How do I live as though my life had always been for me? So I did this incredible trip to Dubai. I went to Hong Kong, flew from Hong Kong to the Winter Olympics in South Korea, went to see a couple of events, flew back, amazing time. And it was just like, wow, why haven't I been doing that for the last 10 or 15 years of my life? Why haven't I just been taking the lead, taking charge of my life and enjoying myself? And ultimately, because I didn't know who I was. I got some more trips here to Berlin, some photos from New York. This is now coming around to end of 2018. Here, this is when I started to really get more into photography here in 2019. I left London, came back to London, got this job, and I was like, right, I have to do something. There is something in this world I'm supposed to be doing. There is something I'm supposed to be engaged in, something that's creative, something that's passionate, something that is more than just having a job, something that's more than money. And I thought, photography, that kind of must be it. So I'm running around London, taking all these photos, editing all these photos, posting this stuff from Korea, learning more about myself and learning really kind of who I am. I've got this trip to Italy here, which I did a vlog for in June 2019. That's actually on another channel. That will come up in later episodes, I'm sure. And at this time in my life here, July 2019, I reached the point of something has to happen here. Something is wrong. I can't just it was not photography. It's not the corporate world. It's something more. There's something deep inside of myself that I didn't really understand what it was. So around about this time, so I was interviewing at some companies. I was doing my photography, doing some vlogs now and then, and I went back to see the psychotherapist, and we worked through some pretty fundamental stuff. Worked through some stuff that I don't think there's any photos that represent. No, there aren't. Worked through some pretty fundamental things, some things that had somebody picked up on it earlier in my life, which ideally they would have, it would have changed the entire trajectory of my life. Really that kind of significance. So around this time here, so end of 19, early 2020, I found out who I was. I really became aware of myself. So I'm aware of the space around me is because of me, and my energy I suddenly had energy outside my body, so I could pick up on who other people were. So I'd meet them and I'd realise that, okay, you're different to me because of this, or because of that, or because of that. Maybe you're more outgoing, maybe you're more of an introvert, maybe you're smarter than me, maybe you're someone I don't trust. And that wasn't something I had an intuitive bond with other people about. And so you can imagine how difficult it was for me to like build great relationships with people when you don't realize you can have different relationships. For me, it was have the same conversation but with everybody. So things were very difficult, very complex, and there's more stuff to go into. There's more significant events around this time, but this really is me discovering like who I am, discovering how I work, and I wanted to do something with it. I wanted to do something with self-discovery. I've got these posts. This is actually the village I grew up in, Billingshurst. This is the skate park we used to go to. You used to spend hours and hours from sunrise till sunset in the summer. This is near the school. This is near where I used to live. And I'm trying to figure out how to do something with this. How do I explain this? How do I help others? How can you live for so long, not as yourself, and then suddenly come into your own? It was a strange time because I knew the future was going to be great, but I wanted to do something with it. I couldn't just use my newfound skills and my ability to be myself to create a life I wanted, because I knew I had an opportunity to do something pretty extraordinary with it. So here I'm starting to post. I wrote this article about the opposite side of the same coin, about self-discovery, about not knowing, this idea of there's more going on in life than you can see, and somehow you have to reconcile with it to find out who you are. And then I really got into this human behaviour stuff. So things like behavioural sciences, psychological change, all mapped into self-discovery, all trying to figure out something I could do with it. So there's a bit of a jump there. September 2020. This one here was August 2020. This one back here was March 2020. So this was a difficult time. Obviously, it was lockdown. I became single again. And I didn't know which way to turn. I'm posting on social media about self-discovery, becoming a leader. It's synonymous with becoming yourself. And then I did this trip to Cairo about seeing the same land with different eyes, which to me is just a perfect example and a perfect explanation of self-discovery, because you see the world around you very differently, which I thought was a great way of explaining it. And then I go through all this internal world, trauma, human behaviour stuff. I'm really trying to reconcile with it here. Really trying to reconcile this idea of a false self. So December 2020, as you can see, I got no likes, but I wasn't doing stuff for likes. I was just trying to put something out there, trying to build for my own future. And this is this eruption of trauma that I had. This is this childhood volcanic eruption of inner pain, inner difficulty. This is from the Leaving Neverland documentary. And this was the only example I found of this eruption of trauma that I had. I spoke to my doctor about it, spoke to the therapist about it. They didn't know what it was. So it's obviously quite rare, but it's made me who I am. It's cleared all the trauma out of my body. I'm intuitive, I'm emotional, I understand other people, I can reference how I'm being in a certain environment, how I'm making a person feel comfortable or uncomfortable, what environment is good for me, what environment isn't good for me. And this stuff is all quite new. Like I've just turned, 35 at this point, and I'm just figuring this out for myself. I guess other people figure this out when they're about 10 years old or something, right? So it's difficult. It's a very, very difficult time, and I'm here trying to make sense of it all, trying to understand how to put it all together, I've got some stock market posts here about how companies have this environment of the best self, about bringing out the best in each other, which to me is like self-discovery in a company, which starts to map to leadership and this idea of psychological change. So things are really starting to come together. This was May of this year, so things really started to come together in the last kind of 6 months or so. I'm posting about human behaviour. I've come up with this change machine thing. I'm getting it on LinkedIn. I'm starting to map things together, and really all summer trying to find a way to make sense of this all, find a way to create something with this. And August 31st was the day I came up with the phrase, the self-discovery show. And that was when I posted this, because I knew I had something. I knew that from when I quit my job back in 2015, I had something to work on, had something to fight for, something to believe in, something to really be a part of, something to bring my full self to the table. And during this time, I've been like freelancing, working in different companies, just building experience and skills and trying to find that thing that Steve Jobs talks about: stay hungry, stay foolish, you'll know when you find it. And this last 18 months or so, working on this kind of stuff, all this human behavior, self-discovery, self-awareness, your own level of consciousness, your own inner psychological journey. This is it for me. Like this is gonna be my life's work. I guarantee it. Unless there's some sort of tectonic shift of mankind's existence on Earth, then this is it for me. Like it's just got better. And it's been so hard. It's been so challenging, but I've got there in the end, and I'm loving really, really what I'm doing. And here I'm just posting some pictures of myself about how like where I was, how I couldn't see myself, how I didn't have anyone in Rob's corner, how difficult it actually was, which is hard to reconcile with, but it happened. I'm here. Just some pictures with some friends here. And then I'm posting some reels here. I'm realizing that reels are getting thousands and thousands of views, and that's something I can build into the company. I can build into something going forwards, because travel, adventure, knowing yourself, self-awareness, they all kind of work together here. So I'm just going through, this was a little trip here. I think this is the second video on this channel. I went out to this little place as like a mini adventure travel vlog, which went incredibly well. And I've never really done that kind of thing before, just get out of my comfort zone, do something different. And it was after I made that video, which was around this time, I think it was end of September, that I actually made it. I left and I just had this like epiphany, like, oh my God, because this was carrying on from the Egypt thing about seeing the same land through 100 pair of eyes. And I knew like this is me, this is what I'm doing. Psychological change, self-discovery, human behavior, seeing the same land through different eyes, because it all works with companies and my life story and my life experience. And I mean, there's so much to go into, back from like the 1990s through to 2015, that's gotten me to here. And then I'm posting more stuff around kind of travel and adventure. On the big screen, this picture is intense. Yeah, it's amazing, the detail of it. That was done with a 5D camera. Then here I'm kind of starting to close off on where I am now. I'm making these videos, I'm posting more stuff, I'm doing more edits. And if you go back a video or two, the editing, I am loving the editing of these videos, especially the music, the story, the overlays. It's starting to bring back memories of like DJing and making little videos and stuff from years and years ago. And it's all brought it together. It's all, this phrase, everything happens for you, it's just so real. It feels so true, because without all those difficult events, without all those times of not knowing, that stretching, that striving, that being lost, that not knowing which way to turn, that continually pushing out, now I've brought it together. Now I've gotten to where I am now, and I just absolutely loving what I'm doing. And this phrase, only through art can we emerge from ourselves and know what another person sees of the universe, which is not the same as our own. That just feels like where I am, who I am, and where things are going to go going forwards. And there's more to go into, because the whole change machine, the company and the channel and the business side of it as well. But there's more kind of stuff to go into here around the whole kind of consulting, business change, leadership side of things. But for now, I'm here making these videos, making one a week, Saturday 10 a.m, sometimes two. A second one will go up on Wednesday at 10 a.m. And from where I was in myself when I quit my job in March 2015 to where I am now, the person I've become, going through this stress, this difficulty, refusing to settle, because I had a lot of options. I could have got into like IT systems or a different area of finance or consulting, or there was so many opportunities to do something, just to settle and say, okay, I'm going to just settle and stick with what I'm doing. But I knew something was out there. I knew after having this psychological rebirth, 2017, watching so much Casey Neistat, I knew there was something more to myself that I just couldn't quite put my finger on, and I had to go on this real journey to get here. And I think for anyone who wants to be more creative, wants to do something different, just keep going, just keep reconciling with what's inside, and keep trying to find the answers inside, because ultimately you can. And it is worth it. Like I feel like I'm gonna be working on this for the rest of my life. Like self-discovery is just the most fascinating thing I've ever come across in my whole life. It's just extraordinary how you as a person can change, and the world around you just becomes completely different because of it. And you can take action on this. You can force change in yourself. You can alleviate what's inside. You can become somebody you don't even recognize in a relatively short space of time. But it takes work. It's hard, but it is just so worth it. Self-discovery is just, if you can't tell, like, I love it. And I hope from this channel you can learn a bit about yourself, about your potential, and how things could be different for you. If you are going through a difficult time, if you're finding things challenging, you work through that stuff, and it makes you more capable than you could ever possibly imagine. With time, you will find the answers inside. Now, I hope you enjoyed this video. Give it a like, because I've got a lot more to come on the self-discovery show. Thanks for watching.